Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oculi Rebus. This is your host, Mike Ellis, with the MEE Mike Ellis Experience. This episode is produced by the one and only John Solis and is a Yuckfo production. So, the man, the myth, the unlegendary one, Mike Ellis himself. I keep lying to you guys. I was gonna do an episode on hate speech, hate symbols, and kind of touch on hate crime. But I had this epiphany today, and it's all because of Mark Fuckenberg. Now, let's open the show notes. This book's getting full. Where the hell are we at? Here we go. Right after 9/11, right? So here's the thing. This episode is entitled Come Fucking What May. You younger folks might not know what the term come what may, come whatever may means. It's essentially like whatever. It happens. It's no big deal, right? So what does that have to do with censorship? All right, whatever happens, happens, right? YOLO, as the cool hip kids say these days. But let's see. Let's dig right in. The Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, Grapes of Wrath, To Kill a Mockingbird. These were all some books that at one point in modern history that have been attacked, banned, and sometimes burned. Music is the same thing. The Wings had Give Ireland Back to the Irish. In the Britain, Europe area, that was banned. Which is funny because it's literally a song about an attack. It's just goes against the fact that these Irish were killed. Now, it's all subjective, of course, right? This, perspective is a hell of a drug. We talk about it all the time. But what does barring, burning, and blacklisting books or songs really matter? It's censorship. Everyone points, not everyone, did an episode, the first episode of the podcast, 1,453, I forgot what it's called. But a lot of people go back to the First Amendment, which in some summarization is freedom of speech. Your ability to say whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want. With, obviously, there's a cause and effect. You say something, there's an effect. Now, sometimes the effect is justified based on the context of what was being said. Now, that all comes into interpretation and opinion. If you say something disrespectful about my wife, I might knock you in the jaw. That doesn't make it invalid that you had the ability to do so. Now, me punching you is not something that I can't be punished for. I'm being punished for it because you had the right to say or do that. And I obviously assaulted you. Now, laws. I was having a conversation with my buddy a couple months ago on Facebook, nonetheless. Was talking about making new laws. I can't remember what the law we were talking about. But laws aren't made, or laws should not be made to make people do things. Laws should be made to hold people accountable for doing things, i.e., it is illegal to murder. It's illegal because we have to hold you accountable for this crime, right? So we look at the COVID vaccine. Yes, you can argue all day long. It's for the health and welfare of everyone around. What if I don't leave my house? Why do I need it, right? So they're trying to pass these laws and these things that are taking away. They're not holding accountable. And that's what a law should do. We should pass laws to hold people, organizations, and entities accountable for their actions, i.e., it's illegal to drink and drive. Why? Because we need to hold you accountable if you do that. It's not about preventing it. The law doesn't prevent you from killing somebody. The law doesn't prevent you from drunk driving. The law doesn't prevent you from beating your spouse or nothing of that. It simply exists because us as a society, for the most part, has said, fuck you, don't do that, or we will hold you accountable. And it's kind of the same thing with the freedom of speech. We're given that right. You have that, not moment, you have the ability to speak freely. Now, if we said you can't speak about something, it should be for the sole purpose of holding you accountable. But even then, you see how weak that sounds? But here we are. We have music, we've had movies, and we have music, or excuse me, and books that have been ostracized, canceled, right? If you give a mouse a cookie, maybe we should cancel that book. You know why? Because it teaches government dependence. If you look at it from that way, for me, everybody should read the book. Why? Because it shows that you will want more and more and more. The Giving Tree, that tree gave apples or whatever it was. It gave swings. It gave a great time just to be cut down and die. People want more and more and more. And so, back to the whole idea of this canceling music, canceling books. There's a movie, The Basketball Diaries, a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. It's a great movie based on a true story. Well, based on a book that's based on a true story. Book's also entitled, I almost said The Great Gatsby. Damn it, Leo. The Basketball Diaries. The movie was blacklisted in a way here in America. And this was because it came out on the time of the Columbine shooting. There was a scene in the movie, it's a very wow moment, where Leo's character is having a dream that he walks into the school wearing a trench coat and shoots people. Now, one could argue those damn Republicans, because I think that's who lobbied against it. They said this shouldn't be shown. Now, personally, I find myself at odds at times where I'm like, I understand why we're doing that temporarily. Granted, the movie came out and it had the success that it did. But when you start trying to take away the freedom of artistic expression that is guaranteed in the First Amendment, I start having a problem with it. I wanted to do the episode on hate speech because no one really knows what hate speech is. And that's it. It's protected in a way. So after 9/11, just did a huge episode on that. A very good one. Clear Channel Communication, which is huge. They still are. Own thousands of radio stations across the country. They put out a memorandum kind of asking, hey, don't play these 165 songs. There was a song by Temple of the Dog, Say Hello to Heaven. It's a great song. Bridge Over Troubled Waters by the two and only Simon Garfunkel. There was AC/DC, Highway to Hell. There was Slipknot, Wait and Bleed. There was, of course, a lot of Rage Against the Machine music. War Pigs by Black Sabbath. And it wasn't just limited to rock. This was an all-encompassing list. It's an interesting list. I recommend looking it up. Because you'll be like, wow, that was essentially silenced after 9/11. Now, here's the thing. I don't think any of this music should have been silenced. Did it cause 9/11? No. After we had the second 9/11, the assault on the embassy that was initially blamed on a YouTube video, did we just cancel YouTube? No, because it's stupid. But it wasn't stupid to request that 165 songs don't get played by the parent company. Now, yes, we'll get into this. Corporations or entities, and they have the ability to operate as they see fit, because that's a valid argument until it's not. And with what we're getting at, it's not. So, the Bible, organizations have burned it because they want to silence that, right? The Harry Potter books have been burned because the church wanted to silence it, even though somebody had to purchase the books. So it's all counterintuitive, which also brings up the counter argument that if a song today is considered blacklisted, does it make the song more famous? Do people go looking for the new cassette, the new burn? Because you can't tell me what I can't listen to, because then I want to listen to it. That's something as children that we still have as adults, most of us, I would like to think. If you tell me don't read this, I'm going to try to find it. I know a lot of people, including myself, when we were younger, never look up the Anarchist Cookbook. You'll be on the FBI watch list. I probably am. But everybody looked it up. Why? Because you told us not to. Kids and adults don't separate that well. View the eyes through of a child, right? I always go back to that. In this case, I want you to do that. We're going to talk about a song, and I want you to go and find it. I've shared it on the Oculi Rebus, Mike Ellis Facebook page and profile. I think it's a good song for what they were trying to do, or what the individual was trying to do. So, it's hard pressed to find a pro-war song, right? Almost everything's anti-war. A good friend of mine was upset, and we talked about it. He was like, "Oh shit, I'm just dumb." He was upset because Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, not Cross Canadian Ragweed, you Texas Okie fucks. You know, Fortunate Son. It's an anti-war song. It was the rallying cry of the hippies against the Vietnam War, even though the song came out like at the end. It's an anti-war song. I can't tell you there's very many pro-war people. There are people that support going to war for a reason, but no one's like, hey, let's just invade Mexico, because why the fuck not? That's more of a Russia thing. That's not an us thing. Now, I curse. It's just duly noted by you, the listeners. Now, I'm going to give some song names, some things that I could expressly share on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitagua. There's these great names, right? There's consensual rape, fuck you in the cunt with a knife. There's many, many more. We can go on and on, but it's time to move on. You can share these. Now, I do like death metal. I like all kinds of music. I do like rap. Now, there's songs that I've heard that have overtly calling for the killing of somebody or the destruction of something. Like, I disagree with that, but I can appreciate the art form. But we don't stop that. Right? We don't stop the fire, the world was always burned, whatever. It's the same thing. We don't stop. This whole Republicans don't want you to hear something, that was contextually true at one point. But it was more to do with protecting the kids and the minds. MTV late at night couldn't play Jeremy by Pearl Jam. That was another thing that was kind of blacklisted. 9 Inch Nails, blacklisted a couple times. Marilyn Manson, blacklisted a couple times. What's funny is an artist conveys a meaning, but we draw our own conclusion. That's what art really is. When you go to a museum, you see an art piece. Very rarely does it tell you what the intent of the artist was. It's up there for your interpretation. It's up there for you to draw a conclusion. And that's the beauty of art. Manson. He's in the news right now, right? But Marilyn Manson, when it was Marilyn Manson's Spooky Kids, right? Had a song off their first record, Lunchbox. This song was, they tried to cancel it, to much esteem. A lot of people say the song is about school violence. It literally talks about having a gun in lunchbox and taking it to school and serving up lunch. But me, being the listener, never took it that way. I always took it as a fucking anti-bully song. It literally starts off with talking about how the kid doesn't want you pointing the finger in his chest. He just wants to grow up and be a big rock star. He's tired of the bullshit. Now, intent versus my reality and understanding are two different things. Granted, understood, next area. But that's what I'm trying to get at, is we should interpret art the way that we want to interpret it. You can still put fuck the police or the fuck the firefighters. That's a song too. That was a song that was indicative of what was going on in that time, in that era, if you will. Now, of course, some people say, well, it still exists. Okay, whatever. But we don't block that. We don't block the anti-Christian stuff. Sometimes we block the anti-Muslim because of Obama's or something. That's not an inclusive thought. It's just back to the embassy and blaming shit. But that's where we're at. So all these other songs and everything, you can plaster all over. Hell, art, shit. A couple years ago, 2 years ago or so, maybe 3 years ago, you had a comedian, I forgot her name, chick with the red hair, had a picture holding a severed Trump head. Art. We got to applaud it, right? She's not calling for the decapitation of the president, even though people have said he should die. That's not my intent. That's your fault for being stupid and challenged and probably Republican. it's funny because it works that way, but it doesn't work the other way. Now, with a quick break and some information that's going to lead to the arrest and the conviction of the Clintons. This is a part of the episode we're going to throw some news tidbits out there and give a quick spin. Hopefully quick, but I'm an idiot. I could talk for hours, right? So before we get back to our regular programming, that is sponsored in part by people that don't listen. All right, General Billy Millie Miley Cyrus. He's in the news if you haven't seen it. There's an allegation by good old Woodward. Now, here's the thing. Woodward and Bernstein back in the day, they were the epitome of reporters, right? I never bought into it. I just thought they were really good at not showing a bias. But he's in the media. Woodward's in the media again because of his newest book has this huge, if true, and I hope not, damning assessment of a conversation that General Billy Millie Miley Cyrus told the Chinese counterpart, hey, I'll let you know if we're going to attack. Trump's crazy, yada, yada, yada. That's the gist of it. Again, I hope it's not true. Trump came out and said he can't believe that it's true, but if it is, traitorous, which we still have to look at the legal concept of that term now, right? But with that being said, release a transcript. They came out saying that he had 15 aides on the phone. Not the disease that kills people, but the assistants. Had 15 aides on the phone. And he has come out and been against it. Now, Vindman, that dude's an idiot. But I agree with him. If it's true, step down, resign, and go sell military equipment. Because that's what's going to happen. Now, they bring in that this also included Nancy Pelosi. I don't foresee one of them throwing the other under the bus. Because if they do, it's going to be a flip-flop. Well, fuck you. All right, so Ned Price. Oh, Ned Price. Look that name up. He's the spokesperson for Department of the State, I think. He was being questioned by a news reporter. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But the news reporter had asked a simple question. Did anybody in the administration ask the Taliban if we could extend? And Ned Price's response that he aggressively gave was, well, the Taliban made it very clear that if we don't stick to the previous administration's deadline, they can't guarantee the safety. Essentially saying they're going to attack. Excuse me. So she asks again, I understand that. But did anybody in the administration ask? And he reiterated the same thing, same talking point. So she expanded on the question. I understand what the Taliban said. I guess my question is more along the lines of, did they tell us that? And we just say, okie dokie. Or did they say that after we asked? And he says, well, I'm not going to get into a conversation about diplomatic efforts. But you did, because you told us what they said. You just don't want to tell us how it came up? I don't want to get into diplomatic. No, that's bullshit. You just got caught. We didn't ask, at least my opinion. But here's the thing. Previous episode, I said, we will not negotiate with terrorists. And that's turned into, we negotiate with terrorists. And that's turned into, terrorists negotiate with us. And we just say, okay. And then that's even turned into, terrorists don't negotiate with us. They tell us. That's our job. We're the world power. We're the ones that say yes, no. When we say jump, you say how high. I get it. The administration's worried about casualties. The correct response, you're going to be a little pissed off, should have been like, oh, you know what? You don't want to negotiate? That's fine. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you drop some blood, we're going to turn in an Afghanistan square mile into some glass. We're going to start dropping some bombs. We're going to take names because we're all out of bubble gum. Maybe literally not admit to dropping a nuke because I think that's excessive. But we are the determining factor. We're the safeguarder of peace. You don't tell us how to achieve peace. We tell you. And if you don't agree to the terms, then we give you peace. We give you a piece of American might. All right, that was enough spent on that. IRS 2022 proposal. Check this out. They want to monitor your bank accounts. You drop $600 somewhere, they want to be able to track it. Here's the dirty little secret about that. It's a hit agenda. The IRS multiple times has already stated they will not go after millionaires unless you're Wesley Snipes. They're not going to go for billionaires. Why? Because they can afford the lawyers that we can't. So they're going to go after us. The IRS has been in trouble for silencing conservatives by denying or extending the application process for 501c3 tax exempt organization status. If you did not know this, now you know. They're also in charge of part of Obamacare. Why? I don't know. You want to sit here and say men don't have a right to women's body, but you're going to fucking tell me the tax collector does? Suck a fart. That doesn't even make any sense. All right. This one just hot off the press. Moderna, right? Oh, vax and jab time. Their analysts just released some information. Let's talk about the good because that's what they want us to do. They said that if you get the jabs, you get the vaccination like you're supposed to because you're good sheep. Not because you want to, but because you need to. If you get the vaccine, the odds of, or excuse, not the odds, if you get the vaccine and you get COVID again, it's not as bad than if you didn't have the vaccine. But then there was the old stomp on the ground, cough. They did the, but you have a higher chance of getting COVID. They stated that if you get the vaccine, you're 2 times more likely to catch COVID. It just won't be as bad. Won't be as bad. That's subjective. You're going to tell me how I feel. You're going to tell me how I feel versus how I would have felt versus how I had felt. That's some Miss Cleo shit right there. Call me now for your free tarot reading. All right, now it's time to circle back to our regular programming. Please forgive me if I mispronounced this last name, right? John Ondersick, right? He's the lead singer of the outfit called Five for Fighting. Now, I've heard of them. I've heard their music more than I've heard of them. Dude's got a great voice. It's they're good, you know, for what they are. It's not something I would go and listen to every day, but they're good at what they do. I'm not going to deny talent when I hear it or see it because I watch some of their videos. But here's the thing. I've never seen this guy be political. Most of his music is just about human emotion, from what I can tell. Again, my perspective versus his intent as the artist. But he released a song, Blood on My Hands. Now, here's the thing. The song, anybody advertising the song was having it blocked on Facebook. It's kind of been running around with the radio pundits and all those people, right? But why? Why is it being blocked? Why is Facebook blocking it? So it mentions Secretary Austin, Blinken, Billy Miley, Ray Cyrus, and Biden. It's almost like Dante's Inferno. It mentions these names. Got to ostracize you now. Except, unlike Dante's Inferno, he said these are the names. He just said, Biden, this blood's on your hand. You other guys, where are you at? What's happening? That's it. I think there's one cuss word in the song. He even says, the Army's call sign. This will defend. Maybe. Maybe. He wants to know why Americans were left behind. He wants to know why our allies that helped us were left behind. That sounds fair. But they're stopping the sharing of it. Not necessarily the video, but advertisement for the video. Now, if you have the right to censor, you have the right to be held accountable. And here's what I mean. Yes, Facebook is this free company, right? They're private in the essence that they're not government ran. They could do whatever they want. I agree. But that has to be held to a certain level of scrutiny. Twitter, for example, different companies. Twitter, for example, blocks Trump, lets the Taliban. Way to go. Couldn't see that as being fucking ironic. Facebook also blocked Trump, blocks this song, but, you know, you can see some pretty heavy Communist Manifesto, Marxist, terror shit. It's there. It's not hiding. It's not hidden. It doesn't matter if you make your group private, as long as it's okay and it's not pro Trump, you're going to be good to go. Here's the thing, the media we can hold accountable, right? So, granted, nobody's really working for Facebook who posts shit. I get it. Understood. But if Fox News, CMSNBC, or whatever, any of these other few letter organizations put something out and they have to recant it, they're going to be held accountable. Whether it's by admitting they made a mistake, or if it's like Project Veritas, go James O'Keefe, with suing and getting some money that he deserves because it needs to set an example. Here's my thought. If you start selecting what can and can't be on your platform, as long as it's now, again, it's a weird thing, right? Like, I don't, if it's not rape, if it's not killing, if it's nothing like that, then I don't think that in good faith you can block it. We'll cover hate speech probably next week. But I don't think you can good faith block it. Why? Because now you are turning into a content creator. Whether that's by design or by accident, nonetheless, that's you. That's you, Mark Zuckerberg. It's you, Facebook. You're content creators now because you're allowing things to be pushed around. Now, I get it. You want to fact check, but we've discovered that we're not even doing that fair. It's subjective, right? Facts are crazy. There's a lot of opinion. I'm just waiting for some wild thing to come out and it be like, well, that's not true because there was a pause for a period, so this is false. Fuck off. That's where we're at, though. You had a person who poured his artistic heart out for about like 4 minutes and released this song after 13 American service members were murdered in a terror attack. I wonder what your thoughts are. Do you think that Facebook is becoming more of a content creator and less of a moderator? I think so. Now, I don't think that we should maintain the right to sit here and sue them for every nickel and dime. That's not me. I'm just simply stating, before you listen to the radio and you listen to one of these conservative dudes on there, it goes, the opinions are expressly that of so-and-so and do not reflect the company he works for. Give me that shit. But no, instead, you block an honestly really nice song that just questioned. That's all it was. It didn't call for the death of anybody. It called out against the death. The death of 13 people that Congress doesn't want to name. I did, because I fucking care. But everybody who listens, give me your thoughts, guys. I really want to know. Well, we're on Facebook now. We got the profile and we got the page. Oculi Erebus. Look it up. Instagram's still there. Oculi_Erebus. Twitter's still there at @OErebus. The podcast obviously everywhere. Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Anchor FM, all that good stuff. But share the motherfucker, okay? Remember, everyone, perspective's a hell of a drug. I can go on and on, but it's time to move on. Mike Ellis, out.